Lowe's knows you want to get even more value for the holiday. That's why as a My Lowe's Rewards member, you get new member deals on holiday decor, tools, and more. And you earn points when you shop. More points equal more rewards to help you save on holiday and more. Not a member? Join for free today at Lowe's.com/MyLowe'sRewards because Lowe's knows deals. Program subject to terms and conditions. Points are awarded on eligible purchases. See Lowe's.com/terms for full details. Subject to change.
In Louisiana, the special session on crime is over, and we review the winners, losers, and legislation set to become law in the Pelican State. In Texas, a man has been arrested after police find a girl who has been missing for 8 days. And in Mexico, the cartels are taking over the lime business. These stories and more coming at you today, Wednesday, March 6th, on Real Life Real Crime Daily, and I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Woody Overton.
And I'm Mike Agavino. Happy Hump Day, boys.
Right. Hump Day, Hump Day.
March 6th. Right? March 6th.
That's 6th. Not the Ides of March, is it?
No.
That's the 7th?
You know, I meant to look that up the other day.
I think it's the 7th.
I don't really understand the concept there.
It has to do with that famous person. You know,
there's a good movie with George Clooney and Ryan Gosling, a political movie.
Come on, man, the famous Greek dude, philosopher or whatever.
Plato,
right? Doesn't it?
Mike didn't know that.
Ides of March.
There's a lot of famous Greek philosophers.
No, I'm sorry. It's March 15th this year. So, but anyway,
isn't it the same every year?
I don't know. I don't know, but I know it happens in March. And I don't even know what Ides means. It's not the eyes, it's the eyes. It's March.
Either we're booming it or we're...
Yeah, you let it roll. That's
let it roll with us looking like morons.
Yeah, well, sometimes it is what it is.
Well, then we're going to have 50 people writing us to tell us what the Ides of March.
Love and appreciate each and every one of y'all. Thank you for listening and tuning in. Yeah, I wanted to talk about some of y'all, this story, to begin the show, I guess, but that... I read it and it brought me back to some pretty bad memories when being on the job. But so the title of it is Father Works Scene of a Hit and Run Without Knowing His Son Had Died in the Collision. I want to share a short story with you and then relate it back to some of my personal experiences like I told you. And I'll share the story and then I'll elaborate a little bit. Now, we don't know much, but here's what we know. A New York official responding to a fatal hit and run had no idea that his son was the actual victim of the crash. The Binghamton, New York police report that Tyler Beschorner, 29, died after he was struck while walking on a highway in the early morning hours of February 17th. The incident caused road closures, which meant Tyler's father, Corey Beschorner, a New York State Department of Transportation employee, was called to the scene to assist. I'm sure to help with traffic or whatever, y'all. But this is one of our worst nightmares, Corey told WBNG-TV. When we were setting up, we were saying somebody's world is going to be turned upside down tonight. I didn't know it was going to be mine and my family's, and police are still searching for the vehicle that struck Tyler. Yeah, it brings me back to a couple things, and I'm not going to say the names, but I've responded to scenes, but one of them, it's just tough. The one of them, the guy that was my partner on duty, we got a call of a Signal 20 crash. It was late at night. It was a Mustang that left the road and wrapped around a tree. And when I got there, it was a brand new Mustang. And I remember my partner telling me they got his son a brand new Mustang. And he pulled up behind me and he started screaming and hollering, and then realized it was and he was dead AF, and just never forget it, and he's not alive today, but he carries so much guilt because they estimated he'd left the roadway at like 120 some miles an hour sideways.
And this is a young kid, like a teenage kid.
Yeah, he was a teenager, and he was a good kid. Another one, it's not crash related, but I remember another one that got a medical call of an elderly gentleman who apparently, had a heart attack or whatever in his bed. And I got there and started working on him. it was way down south, and my road partner pulls up, and it's his father-in-law, and I got him on the floor and had to do CPR on him until once you start, you can't stop. So that Acadian people showed up, the ambulance people, and it took them forever to get there. And I did it for CPR for so long, and the wife screaming, "Just let him go. He's dead. He's dead." But you can't stop this to the point to where he threw up in my mouth. That was before we had the mass things, and my partner's there crying, and his wife came in. It's just shit shows. And you think about the people who go out there and do these things every day, firemen and police officers and stuff like that. But that's a real certain percentage of a club, member of a club that just don't want to be a part of. Right.
Well, and I guess especially in smaller communities, you're more likely to know a higher percentage of the people in the community and more likely to have these kind of things happen. I
knew a lot more of the people, who got killed and for various reasons, but I'm just thinking of these close that it was such a, having to drag the one guy away from the scene, and it's just bad. I can't even describe the boy and all that, and they had to cut him out of the car, and then it took Acadian on the elderly gentleman, like, I swear it seemed like 14 hours. It took him like 35 minutes or so to get there, and listening to the wife scream and all that. Yeah. So, but shout out to all those people who get out there and get it done every day, and hearts and prayers go out to anybody that has to experience anything like that, right?
That's right.
So anyway, let's get down to some true crime time for Wednesday.
All right, and we're going to talk about the Louisiana Special Session on Crime, which wrapped up last week. And I'm going to do something a little different. Instead of reading you a 20-minute story like one of our co-hosts may do every now and then, I'm going to break it up into two segments. Segments for you. So we're going to start off with the winners, and in my second segment, I'm going to give you the losers of this crime session. But this is something that's historic in the state of Louisiana in a lot of different ways, and we'll get into that. It was a 9-day special session. And there was a lot of issues, as we've talked about in the past, with crime in Louisiana, one of the highest crime-ridden states in the country.
Yep.
Jeff Landry, who was elected 2 months ago, that was his platform.
And also he was a top cop. He was Attorney General.
That's right. And so he is putting his money where his mouth is, I guess you could say.
I knew it was coming.
And he didn't waste time. Just 2 months into office, he called for this crime special session. And among the things that were considered winners, Louisiana will lower the age to be considered an adult, sending all 17-year-olds to adult court regardless of the crime.
Yeah.
So that was 18.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, a lot of states have that anyway. So, I mean,
that's right.
Nowadays, you just got to do it.
That's right. In the 9-day special session, as I told you, it fulfilled mainly his platform, his first campaign promise. And he also vowed to potentially keep more people in prison for a longer stretch of time, even though Louisiana is one of the highest incarceration rate in the country per capita. That's right. He also passed a provision to make juvenile justice records.
Hey, back to the other one. He passed something on that?
Yes.
Keeping them incarcerated longer?
Yep. We'll get into that. And he also passed a provision to make certain juvenile justice records available to the public, something the state has typically shied away from to protect the privacy of youth.
Yes. And you know what? I ran across that so many times over the years. The thing is, when you've committed murder as a 14 or 15-year-old, like double homicides and stuff like that, and you get out at 21, and you commit another murder, I believe that should be able to be used against you. And it hadn't been to this point.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, they just seeing this innocent young kid saying,
it's a clean start at that age, no matter what. Yeah.
Well, bipartisanship did play a role in this session, and sexual assault survivors were big winners. Yeah. It's not completely dead, bipartisanship. Republicans and Democrats in the legislature came together and unanimously passed a law that will give prosecutors more time to initiate the prosecutions of sex crimes. Senate Bill number 9 allows the state's 3-year prosecution period for sex offenses to be restarted if a new photo or video evidence comes to light. What do you think about that?
Wonderful idea. Because most of the times, a lot of times, these victims, the time does expire, and especially if new evidence comes to light, fuck them, do them. Everybody hates a rapist and a chomo.
So that starts a new 3-year clock?
That's right. If they were to find a video or something of someone at a gas station on the day that someone was sexually assaulted and it pointed towards someone they were investigating, it will restart that clock completely.
That's a pretty great idea. I've never even heard of that.
And then a similar proposal, which was proposed by a Democrat out of New Orleans named Delisha Boyd, also unanimously passed the House. Her proposal would have started the prosecution period for third-degree rape once the crime was discovered rather than when it occurred. Third-degree rape occurs when the victim cannot consent due to intoxication, the ability to understand what's happening, or when the victim submits
Maddie Brooks' case,
believing the assaulter is someone else.
Yep.
So that was a kind of a big win. In addition to that, let's talk about gun owners for a second. Mm-hmm. We touched on the fact that now concealed carry is going to be constitutional carry.
They passed it.
Excellent. Yeah, it's signed. I believe it goes into effect, get this, July 4th.
Really?
Yes.
Well, there you go.
How about that, Mike?
It's already in effect.
Think about that. July 4th. That's Independence Day.
Yeah, it'll be a mixture of fireworks and gunshots.
Indeed it will. Also, another proposal, Senate Bill number 2, grants an unprecedented level of immunity, and this is important, to gun owners involved in a self-defense shooting. Under the legislation, persons who hold concealed gun permits under most circumstances will be able to shoot someone without fear of being sued. The immunity would apply except in cases of gross negligence, intentional misconduct, or commission of a crime that results in a felony.
I totally agree with that because we had never talked about this on the show. The concealed carry permits, even though people do legal shootings and self-defense, the other side can still sue them.
Civil. Right?
Yeah. Civil. Civil. I mean,
it happens all.
You arrive with me and I shoot you and then your family's going to sue me because you arrived with me and I was defending myself. Fuck that. Yeah. Don't let them sue them.
That's right. Well, it would grant them immunity for that.
You know what? I mean, golly, them to make it political. But you shout out to the state of Louisiana because, first of all, the regular session starts in May, right? And it goes for however long, a month or two or whatever. But for them to come in and get these lawmakers in to try to do something to change the way things are, shout out to them.
And I don't think you're being political. I think that Democrats and Republicans both want the crime rate to be reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, it is crime related, what we're talking about. But what they didn't tell you about is did you hear anything about them bringing back the electric chair?
Actually, they are, and that was, yes, I was going to bring that up. It could be the electric. What they passed was essentially being able to seek out new ways in which to perform executions outside of lethal injection, which obviously, as Woody said many times on this show, you can't get the drugs for right now. So electric chair could be one of those options, as well as what they've done in other states.
The Alabama thing.
The gas, what was it? What type of gas was it? The nitrogen?
I think was it carbon dioxide or nitrogen?
I thought whatever it is,
they take all the oxygen out of the room. Yeah. And then, so that's going to be the next thing you can hear about is executions cranking up again.
Yep. Oh yeah. So that was, on my next round, I'm going to give you the losers in this crime special session as well. But that was the winners.
Sounds like the losers might be some of those guys getting the execution.
and
just
criminals will definitely lose.
On that.
Allowing in the previous serious juvenile crimes, the longer prison sentences. Yeah, when I was starting corrections, like in 90, I think it was 1990, there were only like 650,000 people incarcerated in the United States. Now it's in the millions. 30 years later,
there were only 600. Wow, that's hard to believe.
It's in the millions.
Wow.
Yeah, there you have it.
Well,
hey, ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore, because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support and supplement. It's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC. Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts that spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of an LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser-cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdown scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids, to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
Well, speaking of some people who should be incarcerated but aren't, let's go south of the border to Mexico. We're going to talk about limes.
Mm-hmm. I don't like them in my beer.
Yep.
About your margarita.
I cannot really drink margaritas.
Me neither. Makes me mad.
I can drink them, but somebody's not going to like it. One of the two.
Nobody's going to like it if I drink them.
There's a lot of uses for lime. So Listen to this. The attack began in the early hours Tuesday. Residents awoke to the rattle of gunfire, which continued throughout the day. Powerful blasts thought to be from explosives dropped by drones shook their houses. By the end of the onslaught, no one knows how many people had died as the casualties were dragged away by the two rival cartels. Their gang war spilled violently into the streets of the small Mexican town of Buena Vista.
Buena Vista.
Buena Vista. But this wasn't rivals warring over smuggling illegal drugs. It's a battle for control of the region's production of limes. Mexico is the world's second largest producer of the fruit. It's exported around the world where they flavor margaritas, cocktails, salsas, tacos, and much more.
Beer.
And beer, yes, sorry. Corona, you don't put one in your shiner, do you?
Yeah, fuck that. But like Modelo's and
Modelo's.
Anything. Yeah,
Dos
Equis, and they always serve them with a lime. I just don't like lime. I mean, it's not that I don't like lime. I just don't like them.
Well, the gangs are fighting a deadly turf war to control that lucrative business, running protection rackets to impose taxes on farmers that are trying to earn a living. Workers defying their threats and extortion demands run the risk of being killed, kidnapped, losing their homes, being banished, etc.
It's no different than your people doing it.
No. Let's stick to the story here. One prominent local figure claims that over the last decade, 3,000 lime farmers have been slaughtered in the state that includes Buena Vista. It is believed that 150,000 people have fled the state's bloodletting and gone to America. The whole of the lime industry is controlled by the gangs, and there is a lack of freedom for producers, according to Buena Vista's mayor, Sergio Baez. He says, so in a way, when people in the U.S. or U.K. buy their limes, they are contributing to organized crime. Last week, security forces in the municipality seized at least 130 homemade explosive devices to be dropped by drones. So these guys are using the drones. Last week's nocturnal attack involved hitmen tied to the Tepalcatepec cartel. I'd never heard of that one. Trying to oust Los Viagras, a group notorious for its savagery, and a group that's led by this guy who's nicknamed the Mermaid.
A mermaid.
These guys all have to have nicknames.
Daryl Hannah.
This gang won national infamy with a video entitled No Mercy in Mexico, where they showed the gruesome execution of a father and son accused of collaborating with their rivals. The gangsters cut off the head of the father before ripping out the heart of the son.
Really?
On camera.
Did they take a bite of it?
I didn't watch the video. Yeah. Sorry. I'm going to Parish Forensics in 3 weeks. That's enough. The cartels also have their claws into the avocado business. I think we've known that for a while. Buena Vista alone is producing 220,000 tons of limes a year. The gang's levy on producers and packers earns them at least $30 million annually from this single scam in this single municipality. So just from the Buena Vista area, $30 million going to cartels. So the equation is very simple. You pay up, or you run the risk that the criminals will stop your next shipment on the road or burn it. So it's cheaper to just pay these guys to go away. And like you said, Woody, yes, similar to the sanitation business at one point in New York City. So I got lots of stats about how many people have been killed in this thing, but it's a lot. And it's been going on for quite a while. And the police force there is basically in bed with the cartels.
I was going to say,
nothing's going to happen.
They make a profit off of the limes because they know they can get away with the killings in Mexico. It's not like they have to worry about losing shipments and getting prosecuted by the DEA and all that. I mean, I'm making jokes, but I should be making jokes like killing people.
No, and there's one guy who's kind of the playing the Elliot Ness in this thing, and it's really a family, and they gun down one of them, the Moras, and the new guy is named Hippolito. It was Hippolito that was gunned down, and the new guy is Guadalupe, and this guy is serious about trying to fight back against the cartels, and they've arrested a lot of people, and are trying to put up a fight, but I think the script is written here on what is going to happen because it's happened before.
Well, we're going to, avocados, man.
I love
avocados.
I mean,
they're expensive.
They are.
God.
That's the cartel price increase.
Okay. Yeah, the avocados, muy bueno.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I could eat those with every meal. Superfood.
Superfood.
A lot of them, those come from Chile.
Yep, a lot of them come from Mexico now too.
Yep.
But the ones from Chile, I don't think have.
The ones from Chile are too spicy.
Right. Got to squeeze them, make sure they're not too soft when you get them.
You know, I used to get pissed because you would get the avocados and they would be all black on the inside, even though they didn't look like it. But a friend of mine told me there's a little pit at the bottom of them, and the pit on the outside will match what it looks like on the inside every time.
My mama used to take the whatever the thing in the middle is out and put it in a water bowl on the windowsill, and they'll sprout.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife will go and feel up like 100 of those freaking things to take 5 home. And I'm thinking everyone that goes into the supermarket does the same thing. That avocado's been, completely harassed by 50 sets of hands before you bring it home.
I try to dig to the bottom.
It's a good idea. Except then the whole display goes falling.
That's not my problem.
That's not your problem.
You don't clean up on aisle 3.
You don't clean up the floor. Okay.
Right. All right, we're going to go back to the special session, give you some of the losers, and I'm going to expand a little bit on what we talked about in the last little go-round with House Bill number 6, which was expanding the execution methods. And as Woody said, they're going to add electrocution to that and nitrogen gas known as hypoxia.
They're going to break out gruesome Gertie again.
Yeah.
They need to make a new one when they got the one that works perfectly well.
That's right. So those are the 2 methods they are proposing as alternates. It also, this is interesting, it shields records related to executions, including who supplies the state the drugs and the equipment used from public view. And there's going to be some civil penalties involved if those records get out.
And I think they should. It's just like they hide the executioner, and they close the curtains now when they insert the IVs, so people can't see who it is that's doing and get any kind of retribution.
Well, that's right, and you kind of led me into this, but the reason they're giving for it is proponents of that bill argue that the state would be more likely to obtain lethal injection drugs if businesses didn't have to fear negative consequences for selling the drugs.
Exactly correct.
So some states, including Texas, they've resumed executions after approving what's known as secrecy bills. Arkansas has a similar law with much stiffer penalties, but has been unable to obtain drugs even with those laws. Louisiana's civil penalties would apply to anyone who publicizes the information, whether they are a corrections employee, a journalist who obtained the information lawfully, doesn't matter. So we need to keep that in mind. And First Amendment experts say the penalties would be unconstitutional if applied to the news media. So there's you kind of an argument that you can make maybe for First Amendment rights of
they'll be suing about that.
Freedom of public information and all that sort of thing. Public defenders would be considered kind of a loser in this election. I don't mean a loser personally, but a loser as far as, or in this session rather. The public defense system has been substantially overhauled. Under the new system, the governor will have more power over public defense. Senate Bill number 8 was condemned by almost everybody in the system, from frontline public defenders to those on the state's public defender board. Some said the proposal was a power grab on the part of the state public defender named Remy Starnes, who is the only person involved in the system to testify in favor of the legislation. Reese's bill does away with the current structure and shifts most of the board's power to a newly created office of the state public defender, headed by an executive of Landry, the governor's choosing, subject to the public defender's board approval and Senate confirmation. It creates a new board with 9 members instead of 11 to oversee the state's public defense system, though the governor will get to choose 4 of those board members. The new board will be called the Louisiana Public Defender Oversight Board, but it will have limited powers and authority compared with the new state's public defender.
That was a loss, so it didn't pass.
Well, it wasn't a loss as far as passing. It was a loss as far as public defenders are losing some of their power.
Yeah. Well,
So
I understand that because
the public defenders themselves lost.
A lot of times
It
they
passed.
request funds for this and that and whatever, and it won't get approved by that board. So that's interesting.
Yeah, and these appointees to boards by the governor, it happens
I
everywhere.
turned it down for 15 effing years for the Louisiana Polygraph Board, and because I said I want no part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, on the outside looking, I wouldn't think of public defenders as having some kind of powerful group effort. I mean, it seems like such a difficult, poorly paying position in the legal world.
I got a lot of great friends that said that's how they make their ends meet, right? They pay their bills and everything else. They and then a certain amount of lawyers, in death penalty cases, you can't just get any public defender. You have to be death penalty certified and stuff like that. It pays a little bit more, but it doesn't pay what these high-powered defense attorneys are making. But in every courtroom, there's more public defenders than there are regular lawyers.
Well, and can you straddle both fences here?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
you can have your own practice and then
Get
paid, I guess, as a contractor and come in and
good friends.
And,
some of mine, Jim and my good friends do that. But that's how they make their ends meet because they know they get fed public defender cases, period.
Right. And one final loss, I guess, for some, and that would be the Justice Reinvestment Initiative. It was a bipartisan change to the Louisiana criminal justice system that former Governor John Bel Edwards championed. It is now non-existent. Known as the Justice Reinvestment Initiative, the measures were meant to reduce the state's prison population and funnel savings into services for crime victims and anti-recidivism efforts. New laws that eliminate parole and limit good time credit and post-conviction relief opportunities for the incarcerated means that the Louisiana criminal justice system will soon be even more punitive than when Edwards and the legislator made changes in 2017.
Yeah, not really more punitive, just they're going to get the same sentence. They just can't get as much good time, which is a day. For every day you don't misbehave, you get a day off your sentence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what do you think about that? I mean, there are some advantages to good time relative to it kind of keeps, hopefully it keeps somebody from
if you get somebody in
just being buck wild
on a 10-year charge. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm going to tell you when I used to write them up on the cell block, even though if they were on the cell block, most of the time they had already lost good time. Yeah. High court write-ups, and you go down there and you shove that through the screen, you knew you were going to have to fight them that night because they knew they were going to lose more good time. Yeah. And so essentially, when you lose a good time, that's like losing in court again because you get a 10-year sentence.
That's a good point.
You know you're going to get out in 5, but you got a chance to screw that up, right?
Well, that is the news.
They lose that. They lose their incentive to behave well.
Right.
Anything about putting more cops on the street?
Well, we discussed in prior episodes that Landry has committed to putting a new troop in New Orleans and additional police. There's no debate that new cops need to be on the street, and he's willing to look. It's wanting to be a new cop.
It's good.
The shortage is not from the state disencouraging it. It's people don't want to be cops.
I think that what's going to happen is in the regular session, they got to find the money for it. Which is what
they need to give them all raises. Session. They need to make it.
But they have to take money from somewhere to put it.
Well, if they're budgeted to have X number and have only been able to hire X, theoretically, that money already exists. It's not money; it's the lack of people wanting
that's also
those jobs.
Crockett shit too, because I can remember being with state police, and 1 year might be an up year, 1 year might be a down year. But the down year, where you used to have the secretary and X amount of other people doing it, they just cut the positions. Yeah. I'm like, well, fuck me. I'm getting punished for doing my job now. You're taking away my support. Yeah. Right?
That's right.
Just because you're going to take my buck and put it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that is, historic, really, in my opinion, special session.
Yeah, it's historic just because he got one this early.
Yeah.
And then passed all that shit.
Well, and it also will have an impact on people's desire to work in law enforcement. If they believe the state and the governor are behind law enforcement aggressively,
Very true.
then younger people are going to be more encouraged to seek a career there.
Well, you remember, I remember Woody saying, heck, I might come out of retirement with this governor in office.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
You want to work for somebody, and he is the leader of all that.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, they need to keep him there for a while. Hopefully they will. Let's go to Missouri, where a former middle school principal has pleaded guilty to federal murder for hire charges after hiring someone to kill his girlfriend and his unborn child.
There you go.
First-class principal here. According to the plea agreement, Cornelius Green, who worked for the St. Louis Public Schools, paid a man $2,500 to kill Jocelyn Peters. Apparently, Guido at Rent-A-Hitman was not available. He could have got a better deal. Yeah. But at the time, Peters was 27 weeks pregnant with Green's child. Green was married to another woman, but was engaged in romantic relationships with several other women, including Peters, who also worked in the school district as a teacher. The man Green is accused of paying to commit the murder, his name is Philip Cutler, is set to go on trial for the murder for hire in March. Nearly a month, well, it is March now, so sometime this month. Nearly a month before Peters was killed, prosecutors allege that Green texted Cutler asking him to come to St. Louis. The plea agreement states that Green then stole money from the school where he worked and used it to pay Cutler. So it wasn't bad enough that he was going to knock off his girlfriend. He stole the money to do it. Green allegedly provided Cutler with keys to a car and to Peters' apartment before traveling to Chicago so he could have an alibi. Prosecutors allege that Cutler then entered Peters' apartment, shot her in the head before calling Green to inform him that he had done it. That same day, Green bought a train ticket, and returned to St. Louis and went to Peters' apartment where he called 911 to report that she had been killed. According to the plea deal, Green will be sentenced to life in prison for murder for hire and conspiracy to commit murder for hire. Cutler could face the death penalty if he is found guilty in the trial that begins next week.
That's crazy.
What a model principal.
We had one in Baton Rouge just a couple of years ago where the lady was a teacher. I think the other guy was a teacher or a coach or something, and he took her out by the Chaffly Bridge and shot her. She was pregnant, and I don't think it's been adjudicated yet. So, but it's crazy. But talk about that case that. But Roy and the two Christians worked on the one I'm talking about the Chaffly Basin. So that's their area. And I told y'all last week that last Friday I was going to be the guest speaker at LOPA in the Louisiana Coroner Association's convention. And guess who I ran into? Not only ran into, I got to hang out with Roy and the two Christians.
Awesome.
Right? From Louisiana Funeral Services and Louisiana Pet Crematory. Look, y'all, they had a badass
Kristen, you promised
set up
we would meet first.
When we go, I meant to get some of the stickers that they had there. They were awesome and amazing. But anyway, they loved them. And it was awesome running into them.
Wait, you're talking about the one but underneath the big American flag, Woody?
Yep. The big American flag in Broussard.
Okay, I got to throw a penalty flag here. I saw some pictures you posted on Facebook, Woody.
Yep.
Are you sure you were talking shop? Because you looked like you were getting pretty chummy with the Christians.
Hey, let me tell you something. They're awesome, man. Hey, I may not always be a professional, Mike, but the two Christians and Roy are. And I love it when regional companies sponsor the show, but I love it so much more when we learn that these companies have a great product and are run by good people. And I'm telling you something, I got to hang with them. Roy and Kristen are awesome.
Well, Woody, like we always say, we're all going to go at some point, and it's yes,
what's that?
That's right, a dirt nap, and it's reassuring to know that when that happens, or when it happens to a family pet, we've got people we can turn to that we can trust.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I for one am looking forward to our visit to Broussard in a couple of weeks, despite the fact that neither of you want to give a eulogy at my funeral.
That's true.
Whether it's a family pet or family member, or whether it's a direct cremation or a traditional 2-day funeral service with a graveside burial, you know what to do. Call 1-800-FUNERAL. That's 1-800-FUNERAL. Or go to lafuneralservices.com or lapetcrematory.com. That's lafuneralservices.com or lapetcrematory.com.
Or just go drop in on them under the big American flag in Broussard, Louisiana.
Rest easy. All right, and we're going to go to Texas. And we're going to talk about a man that has been arrested and charged in connection with the disappearance of a Houston area minor under the age of 13 who was missing for 8 days before being found safe. Thank God. The girl went missing on February 22nd from her home near Houston. Police issued an Amber Alert saying they believe she had been sex trafficked. When she was first missing, it was believed that she had left on their own, but police, they did obtain new information which made them believe she may have been trafficked. Police shared that the girl may have been on social media and on an app in particular called Tagged, but did not provide further details on what role the child's possible presence on the site may have played in their investigation. The girl was found unharmed 73 miles from Houston in Columbia, Texas, police said. She was taken to the Texas Children's Hospital for evaluation. This child is one of about 460,000 children, y'all, who go missing in the United States every year. Columbus police said they were advised about the missing girl and told that possibly that missing girl was in their city, and they attempted to detain Saritan Preston, who is 27 of Houston, Texas, in reference to having possession of that missing juvenile. So Preston attempted to flee the police, but he was captured and arrested, and he was charged with evading and taken to the Colorado County Detention Facility in Texas. Yeah. And he is definitely an intimidating looking character and a piece of shit.
Yeah, I agree. And
if he did this,
thank God they got her back alive, and I know they'll get her whatever kind of mental help she needs for being involved in that ordeal, but she would have ended up dead.
Yeah, I mean, no kidding. I mean, what's the percentage survival rate from something like that? It's got to be a very low number.
I would imagine. Yeah.
It's got to be very low because we talk about very few of them, right?
That's right.
That's crazy.
Well, let's go to the Pacific Northwest. They love me up there. I get lots of fan mail from
I'm sure you got a lot from Seattle last week.
I get a lot from Oregon.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Oregon, where incidentally they just recriminalized.
I saw that.
All of those drugs that they had decriminalized a couple of years ago. So the meth and heroin and all this stuff.
Blew my mind that made all that shit legal.
Except drug deaths over a 3-year period tripled.
Yeah.
And we've covered all the other.
After that.
Except for the psychedelic mushrooms and weed.
I didn't see the mushrooms did not come into this. Okay.
It's not the ones that you pick in the wild. It's like the chocolate bar psychedelic mushrooms.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I didn't know they had that. Interesting.
And we're seeing a number of signs that sort of sanity is coming back to certain places that just sort of let this go, and these homeless encampments took over, and the drugs are everywhere.
It's like when they said they were going to start sending social workers, they're going to defund the police and send social workers to 911 calls. I said, let me know how that works out.
Yeah.
Well, it's nice to see some sanity return. So, unfortunately, the story I have is not one involving sanity. It's involving an Oregon father. A terrified preteen desperately tried to keep her unconscious friend safe from assault after they were allegedly drugged at a sleepover by the host's father.
Saw this.
The 12-year-old sent a series of frantic texts pleading for rescue while Michael Maiden, 57 years old, allegedly prowled the home in Lake Oswego, which is a suburb of Portland, to see if tranquilizers he had given the girls had taken effect. So Let me invite my friends over for a sleepover, and there's daddy drugging everybody. Maiden has denied these accusations. She was the only one of the 4 girls to refuse the spiked smoothies Maiden insisted that they drink. And later she pretended she was asleep as Maiden repeatedly tried to edge one of her drugged friends away from her. They were like cuddled, sleeping together, and he was pulling one away. Mom, please pick me up and say I had a family emergency. I don't feel safe, is what she wrote as Maiden returned upstairs briefly. So that's the text to her mother. I might not respond, but please come get me. Please, 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 please. Lots of pleases. The 3 girls had joined Maiden's daughter for the spa night sleepover at his home. Maiden, a human resources director, was, quote, highly involved in the event, taking them out to get their nails done and then picking up pizza for their dinner. Before going to bed, Maiden allegedly made them 2 smoothies each and insisted that they drink them. Mr. Maiden gave each of the girls specific colored reusable straws so he could distinguish their own drink. He was adamant that the girls drink out of their own cups. Police say one girl drank both of her smoothies and another girl drank one. But the third said she did not like the smoothies and barely drank any at all. Authorities claim that one of the girls said that the drinks appeared to have, quote, tiny white chunks in them, and that Maiden's own daughter appeared to have drunk a significant amount. The girls then retired to the basement where 2 slept in a bedroom and the other slept on a pull-out couch. The only undrugged girl remained awake and saw Maiden come into the basement and pull the heavy drugged girl away from her. When he disappeared upstairs, she pulled her unconscious friend back next to her, only to find Maiden return and pull her away again. As Maiden allegedly retreated, she began calling and texting her parents and was eventually able to reach a family friend who picked her up and took her home. As word spread, the parents of the other 2 girls arrived to retrieve their daughters at about 3 a.m., but Maiden was allegedly reluctant to let them in, telling them their children were asleep. The parents took the girls to Randall Children's Hospital, where they tested positive for benzodiazepines.
Yeah, which is basically Xanax.
Tranks. More usually used to calm anxiety or as a sleeping aid. The girl who drank 2 smoothies told police she began to feel woozy, hot, and clumsy shortly after finishing the second. She then blacked out and fell into a thick, deep sleep. Maiden has been charged with 3 felony counts of causing another person to ingest a controlled substance, 3 felony counts of applying a Schedule 4 controlled substance to the body of a minor, and 3 misdemeanor counts of delivering to a minor a Schedule 4 controlled substance. He surrendered at the Clackamas County Jail on Tuesday and pleaded not guilty, and his arraignment is on Wednesday, it's actually today, before he was released on $50,000 bail. So
let me tell you, first of all, thank God that the young lady called her parents and let them know about this. And the only justice for this guy, in my opinion, would be lock him in a cell and let them parents have him.
Yeah, right.
That is about as low as it gets.
And I just did a Real Life Real Crime original on sleepover, and this was a hot topic, sent us to #1 in the world. But the white chunks of the benzos, that means they're off the 2 milligram Xanax bars. They call them bars, and 1 milligrams of the purple footballs. So he was seriously pumping them full of some stuff.
Yeah,
well, actually, let me tell you something. You take 2 milligrams of Xanax as a guy your size,
yeah,
and your ass is knocked out in 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And if you're drinking alcohol, you're gonna be blacked out.
Yeah.
I wrote myself a note to ask you, what was the name of the episode of involving the sleepover that went viral last year on TikTok? Do you remember the name?
No. Well, it was the very first episode I ever did.
Double Clutch,
Christina and David Constance. The very first Real Life Real Crime episode ever. But I didn't know when I went back that people had done all these YouTube videos and stuff about that, including me and Real Life Real Crime and that story in there. And there were a lot of them. Some of them not as correct as others. But I put one like 12-minute clip of this lady while she was cooking. It was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah. Well, you just did sleepover this weekend regarding that.
This past week, yeah.
Well, just another reason to, not let you, unless you really know that other family well, their relatives or whatever.
At the end of the episode, I explain that. Teach kids to be aware and not afraid. Because the deal is, I would hate to think of my youth had I not got to have sleepovers. I spent more time at my best friend's house. I like his parents or my parents, and vice versa.
Yeah.
Either I was at his house or he was at my house. I'm talking like weeks at a time.
Yeah.
Open door policy.
Open door policy, blah, blah, blah. And then that's why it took me by such surprise, this whole sleepover or anti-sleepover thing. But then people reference back to Christina and David Constance, and they just went, I mean, that was the #1 downloaded episode in the world. Hey, y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glaze, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/real life. That's GOBBLE.com/real life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had.
Super Cops.
And we have a super cop today, and this is a super fireman,
Right.
that we're going to talk about. This is pretty much viral, the video of this. And y'all look, before we get into the story, I'm going to post that video on the Facebook page because what I'm going to tell you does not do it justice, no matter how good I could tell it, right? So we're going to talk about a driver that had been rescued from the cab of a truck that was left dangling dramatically over the edge of a bridge in Louisville, Kentucky, after her vehicle crashed into the barrier. And this vehicle was an 18-wheeler, y'all. The woman was unharmed, and video showed rescue workers descending to pull her out of the cab. When you see this video, you're actually going to see a fireman dangling from a zip line, I guess you would call it, Woody, and dangling down to her. She is dangling over a bridge that looks like it's a mile in the air. Picture your biggest bridge in your biggest town, you know, wherever you're listening from. Firefighters confirmed the driver was pulled from the truck using ropes and ladders and was back safely on the bridge in about 45 minutes after the crash. She held together like a champ, the Louisville Fire Department Chief Brian O'Neill said in a news conference, and he described the woman as very calm throughout the ordeal, which is amazing in and of itself. I mean, I could imagine not only me, but me, my wife, and
Probably a testament to that fireman keeping her calm.
Absolutely. He said, I will say the second she hit solid ground, she was able to let those emotions go and just have relief. It's a pretty impressive thing. One of the rescuers, firefighter Brian Carden, said his training prepared him for the encounter, telling reporters, we've certainly done some crazy things in our time, but this tops it.
Yes.
This
Rappelling ropes.
That's right. Thank you. Rappelling. That's the word I was trying to think of. But this guy essentially rappelled down off of this bridge, swung to the side of the cab, calmed the woman down enough because
And then he has to hook her up.
then he has to hook her up. And look, how many drownings do you see work?
They drown the person that's saving them.
Yes. And so I'm sure in his mind, he's thinking, don't start freaking out because we're both going to.
Well, plus she's got to do a lot of moving around, I would assume, to get to get harnessed up there.
Anytime the truck could go.
And she's in that precarious position with that truck. It looks like dangling, and it could go any second. So any adjustment of her weight could create something. What a freaky.
That's
scene.
right. And you really have to see it to believe it, because the story just does not do it justice. But we want to shout out this super brave firefighter. Mr. Brian Callen is our super cop / firefighter for today.
Superhero.
And he's from the Louisville Fire Department?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville.
Great job, brother.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Do we know anything about how the truck got in that crazy position?
Yeah, it ran off.
Swerve. Yeah, ran off the bridge.
Yeah. I got that, Woody. But
I mean, maybe someone slammed on their brakes and it swerved. I don't know. It didn't specify in the article
or something or whatever.
Yeah.
Ask an obvious question, get an obvious answer.
That's right.
Here we go.
Wednesday.
Kinky crimes for hump day. So y'all, let's go to, these places aren't even safe anymore. Your local strip club. It's not the Landis Strip, but a strip club patron was popped in the face with a small stack of cash by a female worker who explained to an arresting officer that this is a place where money is thrown everywhere.
Of course. Right? Where's the crime?
Right, exactly. Make it rain, it's just not in the face, I guess. Police were called late Tuesday night to Body Talk, the topless club.
Ever been there, Mike? The Body Talk?
In Port St. Lucie. He's taking the fifth on that one. In Florida, to investigate a battery on a male customer. The victim, John McLevy, told cops that he was talking to several employees of the establishment about his career, and acknowledged that the women were upset he had not provided them with any tips.
Now
like, bitch,
we're
you
figuring
don't talk
it
to
out.
us? You about to get paid.
Go to Hooters, idiot.
The 24-year-old, right? The 24-year-old
Tips.
McLevy, apparently ignorant of strip joint etiquette, said that he did not see any signs stating it was mandatory to tip. You cheap fucker. Were upset that the victim had not thrown money at them, which is common practice at the establishment. A friend of McLeavy's told police that he was drunk and had been talking about having a lot of money and not wanting to provide a tip, so he's rubbing it in.
Yeah.
Which apparently led to the 9 p.m. confrontation with Victoria Jones. Jones told sheriff's deputies that McLevy was drunk and being rude and had been following employees from table to table, verbally insulting them. Jones, cops say, said she picked up a small stack of money and threw it towards the victim, who was struck in the face with a legal tender. Right? She claimed the cash was tossed in a non-aggressive manner, adding that this is a place where money is thrown everywhere. McLevy's friend told investigators that he observed Jones take money and slap the victim with it. The club surveillance cameras recorded Jones and McLevy exchanging words before Jones hit the man with the cash and followed up with an open hand strike. Yeah, so his ass got arrested for battery. Yeah, we got a little picture of Body Talk. Hey, I'm going to tell you one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Well, two Swim, I'm going to tell you two of the funny stories from Gentlemen's Club that he's ever seen. One, of his buddies did not swim. Thought it would be funny when the main entertainer came out on the stage to throw a handful of change up. Yeah, he got bounced.
Yeah.
And the other one went up and put $1 bill. These was on different nights. Rolled up $1 bill and put it in his nose and went up to the girl and blew it out like a booger. He got bumped.
God, yeah.
Anyway,
So
that's not strip club.
Yeah.
Okay, the problem there is obviously not Victoria Jones. The problem is the doofus who went into the club and was disrespectful.
Yeah,
to
well, at least
the
he
way
got to go home and tell his
business
wife he
works.
didn't spend any money.
Yeah. There's no sign that says I have to
There's no
tip.
sign that says I have to tip.
Yeah.
All right, well, there's your kinky crimes for Wednesday.
Very good.
Where was that place?
Body Talk.
That was in
St. Lucie.
Port St. Lucie. That's where the New York Mets train. I bet they get a lot of Mets action in Body Talk.
Dwight Gooden might own.
I don't think Dwight goes to spring training any longer.
Didn't he do Booger Show?
Jim's baseball references are all 1980s.
Gary Carter.
See? We're going to do something a little bit different today on Dumb Criminals. I have approached the board and have a pending application for a new segment The new segment is called "How to Prevent Your Kids from Going to Jail."
Oh yeah.
And as an initial entry into the new segment, we're going to talk about a story that's gone a little viral out there. The story and video are currently making the rounds on Twitter. We will post it for you so you can see it. The story features an angry father whose son has defied a specific command from his dad. I'd like to submit it as exhibit number 1 of How to Prevent Your Kid from Ending Up in Jail, a new crime prevention series I'm auditioning today for Woody with the support of the board's new segments committee. The boy, who looks to be about 12 or 13 years old, has been caught stealing candy. He was specifically told not to take that candy. So when his father discovers this, he gives his son an ultimatum. You'll hear the ultimatum in this short clip.
My typical Sunday. Now, I want to beat his ass, but I ain't going to beat his ass. I got his Xbox. Which one would you like? You want an ass whooping, or you want me to keep his Xbox?
As you can see, the father is carrying both the Xbox and a belt in his arm and asks the kid to choose between, quote, an ass whooping or an Xbox. The boy chooses to take the ass whooping and keep his Xbox, but the father turns that around on him. As you'll hear, he gives the boy his Xbox back, but it will never quite be the same.
Come here. Get your ass over here.
My feet are hot.
Goddamn thieving ass motherfucker. Keep on crying, all that black on. Now, what do you want? Do you want this Xbox, or you want this ass whooping? Which one you want?
Keep the Xbox.
You want to keep the Xbox? That's the good answer. I'm going to give you the Xbox right now.
Oh, no.
Broken.
Bye.
He's gonna give him it broken.
Tracy,
up, Tracy.
back up.
He's gonna give him it broken.
Hey, this how I get down. He wanted the Xbox, because that's easy.
As you heard, Dad placed the Xbox underneath the rear tire of his Tahoe and backed up over that thing, destroying it. After he destroyed it, the father comes back inside to announce to the family and his crying son why he did what he did. And here's what that sounded like.
I'm Janaya.
You throwing stuff?
No.
I'm still on. I'm still on.
You still alive?
I'm still alive.
You still alive?
Hey, you see that? You wanted the Xbox more than you want to ask for. I want you to quit fucking lying to me and steal it. I ain't gonna beat your ass because I ain't going to jail, but I can tear your shit up. Hey, you back? That's what my place says. Fuck, go tear it up. This has been another motherfucking broadcast brought to you by your boy Showboat. Y'all probably gonna say I'm mean as fuck, but look, I can't go to jail for tearing up some shit I bought.
Overall, I'd have to say that this is very effective use of deterrence strategy. I think chances are good this kid will think long and hard before he defies his father's wishes again. Guys, too harsh? Not harsh enough? Or just right?
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, my
got
dad
him.
just got my ass beat, but you can't do that nowadays. But I can tell you, my 13-year-old son would take the whooping before the PlayStation or the Xbox or whatever. So I think it's genius what they did.
Yeah, and at least the threat that you might use force, will even though the father knew he couldn't whip him with his belt. He's not going to whip him with the belt. He used it to strike some fear.
Just cut them eyes.
Yeah.
And make them cry.
Just the look. The look gets him. Okay, well, give us some banjos.
Okay, so we got to come up with a new name for it and some new music for it. Y'all send in your suggestions.
How to prevent your kid from going to jail.
Or a life of crime. Because they may not go to jail. They may be smart.
I'll have to review this segment option.
Yeah.
A little discipline
Approve or
from dad
deny.
goes a long way to keeping kid out of jail.
All right, Woody, any final thoughts?
Just love and appreciate each and every one of y'all. I want to thank LOPA and the Louisiana
Organ Procurement Agency.
and that's the name of the LOPA.
I thought
I'm just having a total
brain
brain cramp here. The Coroner Association for having me. Man, what a trip. All of that. It was such a great experience, such great people. Shout out to Joe Harrell, who was there. He's retiring on March the 28th as the assistant coroner in Livingston. And and he and I cut our teeth together. Y'all have heard many stories about him. But anyway, thanks y'all. To go Real Life Crime Daily page and see all this good stuff that they post about these episodes, and I appreciate you.
You're speaking at the parole board too, aren't you?
Yeah.
Coming up?
Well, it'll be next week, and not only speaking, but
On Jim's behalf, or you?
Yeah. I was even trying to get Jim out of jail, out of board jail. Speaking up there with those fine folks at their convention and judging a Iron Chef cook-off.
Look at
with a
you.
couple other celebrity judges, so it'll be pretty cool.
Yum.
But anyway, love y'all. Peace.
Yeah, I'll be judging the Louisiana OnlyFans beauty pageant in St. Charles.
Not until you give me
your
your
password.
login. How many times have I said that on the show and nobody still sent me a login? I guess they don't want me to see what they've been looking at.
Yeah.
I actually am not an OnlyFans subscriber. Sorry. Jim doesn't have that excuse, so I don't know why he hasn't given me his login.
I wasn't talking about y'all. I was talking about any of the fans could send me that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Any
true.
fans, share your login with Woody.
Yeah.
Let them see what it's all about.
That's right.
All right. Until next time, I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Woody Overton.
And I'm Mike Agavino.
Your host of Real Life, Real Crime Daily. Peace.
Glad.